the bass is non-existent. The guitar, the guitars, they're so toy. The toy fucking got some toy nups. The toy guitars. The guitars are super fucking loud, and there are parts of the fuck, dude. I'm like slurring all my words and sound like a butthole right now. Welcome back to Asinine Radio, a weekly podcast where we talk about music, and well, that's pretty much it. So let's go.
This is Asinine Radio. This is the weekly music podcast where every week we get into a different band or artist and we break down one of their records and we research the fucking hell out of it. And we try to have a good time doing it. My name is Tyler, and way out there, hundreds of miles away, is Jeff. While you're listening, because I know you got nothing better to do, that's why you're listening to the podcast, go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, especially Spotify, give us 5 stars and 5 stars only. You know, all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good shit. Our handle is @Asinine Radio. We have a Discord server. If you want to join that, let us know. We'll send you the link. We have a phone number you can call. You can leave us a voicemail. Send us a text. The phone number is 503-893-5307. Or if you just want to make it easy on yourself, go to the description of this episode, especially if you're on Spotify. You'll see a button where you can leave us a voice message on there. You can leave us I think you could also leave us a text message as well. So go do that if you want to, because why the fuck not? Get in a fight with us. We will probably make fun of you. And with all that being said, all that intro out of the way, let's jump right into the episode. So what are we doing today, Jeff?
We are doing Metallica's And Justice for All.
Now, Jeff, this is Metallica. We're doing Metallica today for the second time ever. What is your origin story with the Metallicas?
Okay.
Go.
Yeah. My earliest memory with Metallicas is the video for One.
Really?
And that fucking I watched that as a very young child, and it scared the shit out of me, and I didn't like it, and I was legitimately frightened by that video. And I probably had been like fucking dude, like 7, maybe 6, I don't know, but I was honestly scared. It was like a horror movie. And I like horror movies, but even still to this day, I get scared. I get frightened pretty easily when watching movies. And so that has always stuck with me. And then fast forward to, many decades after that, Metallica has come and gone. Just never cared because I never thought they were great. And that's fair because I've really only ever been introduced to Metallica post this album, post And Justice for All. And so that's kind of your fault for not introducing me to Metallica until a couple of years ago when we did it the first time on the pod. And we did Master of Puppets. I'm not totally wrong. This is you should have showed me Battery long time ago. Hey, here's a Metallica song that starts off acoustic. That would have got me in the door, be it or not. So I specifically
remember bringing Hit the Lights to the podcast when we first started podcasting.
You should have brought Battery.
But I did bring Hit the Lights. And I know throughout the years I've played you Kill 'Em All at least once. Like on our road trips to Oregon or our road trip to Oakland or the many trips to Vegas we used to make. I know for a fact I've played Kill 'Em All in the car.
You gotta ease it in sometimes. With this much hatred that I had backlogged for Metallica, you gotta ease it in. And Metallica is definitely a band that is easy to hate. They are very easy to hate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially if you haven't been with them since the beginning or heard their album since the beginning. They're a very easy band to hate. So, my first introduction to Metallica is for sure the video for One. It scared the fucking shit out of me for many, many years. And then my first actual introduction to Metallica was on the podcast doing Master of Puppets.
That was like I said on the album rankings, that was maybe the 3rd or 4th episode we did in the new format. So just maybe 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Oh, so I will say real quick in the introduction, I said the band formed in 1982. They did not. They formed in 1981. So any of you asshole purists out there listening, still, I stand corrected. It is 1981.
They're probably typing their fucking notes out already. You fucking idiot. You fucking stupid. Your podcast is a sham. Fuck yeah.
I know. Fucking idiots. Metallica
Yeah.
fans. Hate them all, except for me. All right, so that was your introduction. You were way late to the game, which was really unfortunate. Because I really did try to push this fucking band on you.
It's your fault. That's fine.
But at least now you like them. Or at least now you love them to the point where you have several of their records on vinyl and you can't stop listening to them because they're amazing.
Honestly, I would legit buy. I would spend like $100 to $200 on a good sounding copy of any one of my top 4. Really,
Even Justice?
yeah.
Damn,
There's a lot. There's a lot about this album that I like, and there's a lot about this album that I think is okay. But there's nothing that I don't like.
Because that was kind of the thing when we went into this week. We weren't sure if we wanted to do this record because you were still not very familiar with it. I think you had only listened to this maybe once or twice in the past.
Yeah.
We'd only ever listened to Ride the Lightning, Puppets, and Kill 'Em All. But I'm glad we did end up doing this record because I think we're going to get through a lot of good stuff on here.
Yeah.
But, all right, so kind of my origin story real quick is the first thing I ever heard was Enter Sandman. I was a kid. I was a small kid. That song scared me because I saw that video, and that video scared me. For whatever reason, that Enter Sandman video scared me. And then I remember watching the world premiere music video for the song I Disappear, which is a soundtrack song. It was on the Mission Impossible 2 soundtrack. And I loved that song. I still love I Disappear. I think that's an absolute banger of a song. I fucking love it. And I remember at the time going back and not really, I was still in my infancy stage of listening to music and finding past records. Cause this is like kind of the pre-internet, the internet was very much new and it was hard to find a lot of information.
We had to put work into this.
You really did. In 1998, you really had to put work into it. And when you had dial-up at the time, that made it, way more difficult. So I went out and I got a burned copy of the Black Album somehow. I don't remember how I got it, and I hated it. I fucking hated the Black Album. So I just kind of wrote Metallica off for a couple years, and it wasn't until I was introduced to Kill 'Em All by friend of the pod, Kevin, who I've known for most of my life. We kind of reconnected as friends our freshman year of high school, and we reconnected through the band Thrice. We both really, really liked Thrice.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you've known that Kevin that long?
We've been going to school and been kind of friends since kindergarten. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So we've been friends for most of our lives, and so but yeah, like I said, we reconnected a freshman year of high school through Thrice. And Kevin was like, "Do you like Metallica?" And I said, "No, I hate Enter Sandman. I Disappear." And he kind of laughed at me and made fun of me. And he said, "Well, listen to this." And he gave me a burned copy of Kill 'Em All, and that changed everything for me. That burned copy of Kill 'Em All, and I borrowed it from him that night. I went home, burned that copy for myself, and I was just addicted. I listened to that first year. I listened to that album every day. Every fucking day I listened to Kill 'Em All. And then eventually I went out and bought Puppets, which I fell in love with, and Ride the Lightning, then Justice. And then I tried to revisit Black Album again, and I still fucking hated it. So
this is not good.
Yeah, it's just not at all. But yeah, Kill 'Em All was the real thing that got me into this band. So that was like 2001. I think it was like late 2001 when I got into Kill 'Em All. And dude, I fell in love with it. And then yeah, the rest is history. I've loved this band ever since. So
okay.
That's my origin story, my long origin story. So what do you think? What do you have on your first impressions with and Justice for All? And that'll lead into our biggest banger, our biggest banger from this. So what do you got?
I have no stinkers. I only have 5 bangers. There's only 9 songs.
There's 9 bangers too.
There, no. This album is weird because the bass is non-existent. The guitars, the guitars, got some toy nups. The toy guitars. The guitars are super fucking loud. And there are parts of the fuck, dude. I'm like slurring all my words and sound like a
Yeah.
fucking butthole right now, like an actual tight butthole. And there are parts of the album where I think like Lars's drumming is some
Yeah.
of the worst he's ever done.
But he has some cool parts too.
He does. He has some really cool lead. He has some really cool fills. There's some Tom stuff that I love, but goddamn, there are parts of the album like, what are you doing? Just shut the fuck up. Don't play anything.
I know.
So overall, I think this album is lacking in bass. Like that's a common denominator for anybody that's ever heard this album. Everybody says the same thing. And number two, I like this album because this is the most like proggy they've ever been, and even then it's not. I mean, it's nowhere near to the complexity of like BT Bam or any other prog bands from the 70s and 60s. But there's something to be said about hearing the same for an hour and a half and not get tired of it. And that's really what this album is about. This album is about how the fuck can you do that same for an hour and a half, but I'm not tired of it. Like that's kind of impressive. That's kind of impressive from beginning to end. Like because there's not a lot of variety to this. There's parts that like drop in and double time and stuff, but there's not a lot of craziness to this. There's not a lot of like high and lows. The high and lows are still kind of in the middle there. And so I don't know what it is about this album, and I listened to it multiple times, and I like it a lot. Like I want to buy this on the vinyls, but like on paper, this is something that I would fucking hate. This is something that I should hate. I don't.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Every song is like a story. Like every song is the same great story, because they're all long. Every single song is long, except for maybe Blackened. That is one of the shorter songs, but even still, it's like over 5 minutes long. But everything has the same formula. Everything has an intro that builds into like a thrashier riff, then drops into this versus a good catchy chorus, and then it has this long drawn out bridge, and then drops back into like another couple choruses, or maybe another verse and a couple more choruses. That's the formula of every single one of these songs, and a lot of these songs are 7 to 9 minutes long, almost 10 minutes long sometimes. But they're very formulaic. They're very much the same, and I totally understand where you're coming from, where it's all a ton of chugging, because there's nothing super fast on this record. Like even Master of Puppets has a lot of melody, and has a little more complex ideas and everything like that. But this kind of took away from the complexity and just stripped it down to like a chugging album. That's what this is. It's all fucking chugging. And I feel like any band that ever tried to sound like Metallica tried to sound like this, but just were never good at it. Ever. They never did it
because
well.
This shouldn't be good.
I know, but it still is. It's crazy.
This should not be good. Like if you explain this to somebody, this should not be good. God damn, like reading stuff about this before I listened to it, I was just like, dude, this sounds awful. There's no fucking way it's gonna be as good as the other three. And I don't know, man. Like on paper, again, like this should not be good. I should have lost interest instantaneously. But Blackened's my 1B, dude. Blackened is my favorite track.
Is it really? I was surprised.
Yeah. Dude, goddamn, Blackened is so fucking good. I mean, I have 5 Bs on here, and my 5 Bs are strictly Bs. Like they are bangers. Wow. Sometimes beyond bangers. But even my non-Bs, there are parts of my non-Bs that I think like, holy fuck, this part is really, really good. And yeah, this whole album is just chugging. I don't know how this is possible. I don't know how a monotonous, boring, simple, one-dimensional album like this can be so good. I get it. I can't explain it.
Even the cheesiness of the song One, like the first 3 minutes of that song.
Fucking love One. I love that song. I don't care.
It's still
my 2B.
As cheesy as it is, it's so good. And even though Lars's drum parts in the slow part of the song, the first 3 minutes of the song, are just horrendous. They're terrible. But there's still something about it. I think it. And should we just get into One?
Yeah,
just to get it out of the way.
That's my 2B.
So that is my 4B.
That's my 10B. That's probably what you're going to say right now.
No, it's my 5B. It's my 5B. I apologize. So One, yeah, the first fucking 3.5 minutes or something like that. It's it's just the clean guitars, a lot of acoustic guitar layered over it. There's a lot of layering in this song, especially during the cleaner parts. And Lars is just turned up way high in the mix. His beat sucks. Honestly, it's a shitty beat.
Trash. It's fucking trash.
Yeah.
Just don't play anything, dude. Like, there's 2 times in this album where I was just like, dude, just shut the fuck up entirely. Don't play anything. This is one of them.
Know. It really is, especially when you have the kind of, I don't want to say complexity, but like I said, the layering of the guitars during the clean parts is just so good because you have Hetfield playing just those simple notes, and then Kirk Hammett comes in with that awesome clean lead. It just sounds it's
so
not
nice.
overly complicated, but it's just a beautifully crafted solo and beautifully crafted leads. It's really, really great, and the build up into the double bass and just the heaviness, the darkness imprisoning me. It just this is perfection. The buildup is absolute perfection in this song. Like no other song really has this kind of buildup to this extent. It's really something special.
I agree. This might do be. I like the continuity on this on this song. Like everything matches, right? The opening soundscapes, the video, everything about this, the vibe, the lyrics, the tone. As far as Lars goes, dude is trash. Dude is trash in this song. Then the video, my God. I rewatched the video twice this week because it's so goddamn good.
Yeah,
but then if you notice Lars, he does these fucking things with his mouth, like he's really getting into the song, and like moving his mouth, like biting his lip and shit. I'm like, dude,
he does like the O sounds. He does like the O sounds with his mouth.
Yeah, you're not even playing anything. Oh God, he's so annoying.
He's a showman. He's a showman.
But like you can't help but think the song is like super catchy, and like honestly, one of my favorite vocal parts of any Metallica song ever is the way Hetfield, depending if you're Weezer fan or not, the way he says "Hold my breath as I wish for death." Hold my breath as the way he just goes perfect chugs to match just a simple vocal melody. God, I don't know, man. Like that just blew my mind listening to this week. I could not believe how great that was. I love that so much. I could listen to just that one like 5-second clip for fucking an hour and a half and be happy. I love it so much.
Like he has the hold my breath as I wish for death. Oh please God save me. Just that scale.
Yeah, the second part of that chorus, the guitars are playing the chorus melody.
Yes,
that's so dope.
It's so fucking amazing. I know. I totally agree. It's fucking. The song is just a really, really well crafted song.
This is like, dude. So everybody praises the Black Album so fucking much, right? And like Unforgiven. So there's 3 of them for God's sakes.
And the third one's the worst.
Fucking need 3 of the
like
same
they get
shit
worse
song.
and worse. They get worse and worse as you go.
And it's like, dude, this is their best ballad they've ever done.
Yeah, I would, or maybe Fade to Black. Fade to Black is a really good song too. That's
but their best ballad though. This is their best ballad. I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
This is their best ballad.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Only because of the kind of the story it tells. Because not only is it the music, but it's also the lyrics that build up, and so after the chorus ends, it's just Lars hitting the double bass that da 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 da, and then the guitars come in, that just the thrashy heaviness coming in, and then Hetfield comes in and goes, "Darkness imprisoning me, all that I see, absolute horror. I cannot live, I cannot die." The lyrics are so good. they're so depressing and just so angry, and oh my God, dude, they're so full of emotion, and mix that with the instruments, and then his voice trails off the last time, and then everybody's just going, everybody's just like this. It turns to this complete thrash song, and then out of nowhere, really kind of out of nowhere, you don't expect this kind of guitar solo to come out of Kirk Hammett. This guitar solo it's unbelievable.
Dude, that last solo is fucking boss.
There's nothing.
It is so good.
There's nothing that compares to Kirk Hammett's guitar solo in this song. I mean, truly, I mean, we listen to a lot of different kinds of music, you know, metal to fucking we listen to fucking a lot of shit. But Kirk Hammett, he is kind of a shitty guitar player, but his guitar solos and what he can write in the guitar solo is really something special. And this is one of those examples where he absolutely shines. He adds these little nuances and these little quirks and little harmonics and he throws in the wah pedal like so perfectly. Dude, the guy can write a fucking solo without a doubt.
So like Kurt Hammett, I think is another one-dimensional dude from Metallica, but his one dimension that he can do, he does it in a way that is acceptable to like children, to where children can be like, oh yeah, that's something I could do when I grow up. To like guitar teachers are like, holy fuck, that's actually really complex. I can't believe you did that. Like everybody can really get behind his solos. I don't know. I don't know if that's just because he just during this tenure in the 80s, they just had something going, or if he was really meticulous about writing his solos. I couldn't read a lot about how he wrote his solos, but yeah, dude, I agree. Kurt Hammett in the fucking 80s was unreal. Yeah. After that, I think he's trash and garbage, but god damn, in the 80s, he was untouchable.
So everything I've ever seen and read about Kirk Hammett and his guitar solos is that he would go in and he would go into the song pretty much after it was all done, and he would go lay down the solos, but he would throw down like 10 to 20 takes of a solo, and then they would just pick the best of all those solos. Some like in the newer records, they would kind of pick the best from each take. But back in the earlier days, they would just take the best of all the takes. So every single time you would play it, it would be something different. And that's how it was up through their newest record, Hardwired. He would play the solo different every single time until he and the rest of the band thought that was it. Or they would pick from the 20 different takes or whatever it is. So it was never like, you know, we talk about Pantera and how Dimebag, you know, was so specific and very meticulous about what he did and, you know, solo wise and just everything. But Kirk Hammett is the polar opposite of that. It was just like, let me just do what I feel feels right and we'll pick the best from that, you know, which is kind of cool too. It's a completely different way of writing a song, but it's kind of lazy at the same time. And a lot of the things, what people have always made fun of about Metallica, you know, one is obviously Lars has gotten worse year after year.
He's for sure gotten worse. That's just a fucking fact, dude. He's for sure gotten worse. It's unbelievable. He has for sure gotten worse.
Yeah, no musician in popular music that has gotten worse over the years. And another is that Kirk Hammett has never played any of his guitar solos the same at any of his concerts. Like, he fucks up. You watch any live video of Metallica, and trust me, I've seen a lot of fucking live videos, and he never plays the solos correctly. He never does. Even like songs, you know, they've played Master of Puppets more than any song they've ever played. He still cannot nail that guitar solo. And they've played it over 1,000 times live, you know.
The Grateful Dead made a career out of that though.
The Grateful Dead are different because
why is it okay for them to do it?
Because they're
but the last 2 minutes of this song are it's a fucking jam part. The last 2 minutes of the song is a jam part. Yeah. Straight up.
But I think the difference is also because Metallica's not a jam band. They're a thrash band, or at the time they were a thrash band. They're not meant to improvise, you know. They're not like that. That's not their style. But yeah, Kirk Hammett, everybody always talks shit on him, and I agree because the dude can't even play the Enter Sandman solo correctly. You know, it's not even that hard of a solo.
It's not a good solo. I don't understand why you're so hung up on the solo. It's not a good solo.
I'm just saying, like, it's not even that difficult of a solo, and he still can't even nail that, and it's been 30 years since that record came out.
It's because he's lazy.
He still can't.
Metallica is this machine that's been chugging along for so long, it's unstoppable. Metallica is literally unstoppable. They're unstoppable.
I know. But you know what's great about Metallica too? Another thing that makes them great is that they do charge a lot for the stuff that they put out, but they also give a lot to their fans. Like, they're one of the earliest bands to in the modern era. I know Grateful Dead did this, but in the modern era, they have literally recorded every single one of their records, every single one of their concerts since like 2005 or something like that, or maybe even earlier, and they immediately posted online like within a week. So you can go, like when I saw Metallica at the Forum in 2008, I could literally go on their website and I can go listen to that same concert I was at in 2008. Like everything has been so cataloged and everything, literally everything's been recorded with this band, which is so cool. And they give and like the packaging for their vinyl releases and their deluxe editions for anything are so well detailed and intricate. And I mean, a lot of people say like it's worth the money. Yeah, you're going to pay $200 for a box set, but everybody always says like it's worth it, like because of the amount of just quality stuff they put into their box sets and everything else. So I really respect that about the band, that they really care. It seems like they care about the fans a lot. At least they pretend to.
I mean, we're not going to even like, I guess, bring up the whole Napster thing, but that's fine.
Yeah, the Napster thing is a little bit different.
We can just skip that and pretend it never happened.
That was a dark era for the band. They had just put out 3 shitty fucking records.
Yeah,
so they were in a lull in their career.
We're grasping at straws. I get it. We've all been there. That's fine. No big deal. No big deal.
All right, so what do you have lyrically on this one? Since we already played the song a little bit.
Well, like I don't know. One I feel goes along with the video, and the video is about it's based on this movie called Johnny Got His Gun,
which is based off of a book.
Which is based off a book. Nobody reads books, so who gives a fuck about books, Tyler? Come on, that's silly boy talk.
Okay.
Ever since TV was invented, nobody reads books. That's just stupid. People that read books are just dumb. That's fact.
Most of the audience are turning this podcast off.
Yeah, most of the audience probably read books.
Probably
what's up with all these books?
At this point.
Yeah, but like, dude, like that fucking the premise of the movie or book is so it's intense.
Yeah.
Even like just reading the synopsis, it's fucking intense. Like a guy drafted to World War I. He's hospitalized because he gets his arms, his legs, and essentially his face blown off. And the only way he can communicate is by Morse code. He's essentially like bobbing his head, saying like SOS or kill me. And he develops this relationship with like the orderly or the nurse, and he asks her like, "Do you got to kill me?" And according to the movie, the nurse tries to kill him, but she's kind of like she's stopped before she can do it, and he's essentially left to live out his life in his own personal prison. His own his body is now a prison, and I feel like And I will never be able to disassociate the video with the song because the video's like honestly, it scared me for so long.
Yeah,
like the movie Basket Case. The movie Basket Case scared me for decades, and I would never be able to disassociate the two with each other. So no matter what, I will always listen to the song one and think it's about this story. And given that,
I get it.
I think it falls in line. I think it's fucking frightening. And I like the way like the song adds the lighter, softer, more clean solo, right?
Mm.
It's a cool contrast because this is a super somber song. And that little bit like gives the song a sort of like speck of hope, much like the story. Like the story of the guy is like asking the nurse to like, dude, kill me. But if you listen to that, the solo, it's immediately cut off. It's interrupted by another chorus, and then it bleeds into the second solo, which is back to like the normal distorted, heavy thing. And I think that's cool because we are now hearing a story in the music where even though there's a speck of hope, we're gonna shut that down. We're gonna cut it down. We're gonna go back into the heavy, distorted stuff because there is no hope. And I like that.
I do too. I agree with you too. The video is eerie. It's creepy. It's when you're a kid. I mean, when I finally saw the video, I was maybe like 6th or 7th grade, and it creeped me out back then. Like it's unsettling watching, you know, a guy with like this crazy face mask on. Like it's not a normal mask. It's like this box.
What the fuck?
It's like
dude?
a box
it's like a
over
box
his face.
on his face.
And he's like twitching and everything like that, and mix that with
These
the
guys
video.
look scary. Like I'm not a fucking metal kid, dude. These got long hair and ugly mustaches. Like I'm scared, dude.
They're ugly dudes. Yeah, the guys in the band are ugly.
Man.
But then also, so a fun little fact too is that the movie Johnny Got His Gun, Metallica actually bought the rights for the movie because they wanted to use portions of the movie in the music video, and the creator said, no, we're not going to let you do that. So then they pretty much said, well, fuck you, then we'll just buy the rights. And they did. They literally bought the rights for the movie just for
Such
this
a
music
boss
video.
move. Such a boss move.
It really, really is. And honestly, it made for a fucking amazing video. It just matches the song so well, and I don't know, it's fantastic.
Honestly,
Song
like
video-wise.
watching the video again this week makes me want to like rethink my top videos of all time, because I think it achieves everything it sets out to do. It's amazing.
I agree. I've always wanted to watch the movie too, but I never got around to it. Never did.
I'll
But
buy it on Amazon.
it's probably free. It's probably in the public domain since Metallica bought it. Who knows?
Yeah, because Metallica gives out stuff for free. You're right.
You're right.
It's true.
Fucking assholes. They're a bunch of fucking dickheads. Fuck Metallica. All right, so then what's your 1B then? Let's move on.
Blackened. The opening track, Blackened.
Blackened in the air. What the
Blackened is so fucking good. I mean, this is essentially the first thing I've heard from this album, right? I'm not familiar with this at all, aside from one. So Blackened drops.
And when you listen to it, when we did Master of Puppets 2 years ago.
I don't remember it at all, though. Like at all. And I like that intro riffage, like the very, very intro. It's anthemic a little bit. It's kind of like that Canon and D graduation song sounding. It reminds me of that. And then the song drops in. Super solid. Easy drums, classic Metallica riffage. I say, okay, all right, I get it. I can get behind this. Dude, and then when the music really kicks in, we got his groove. And it's fun. This is a fun song.
Oh, it is. It totally is. But I will say, when everything kicks in, Lars is just hitting the snare drum, and the guitar has that fucking amazing riff. But it's just fucking Lars going da 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 da.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
There's some good fills though. There's some good fills going into the riff again when everything comes in.
Dude, when James says when he says the word blackened, that's when Lars throws down some really cool fills.
Yeah.
And there's even a solid like double bass part, which he does not do well at all. But
yeah, I know.
There's some good
so
shit
hard.
in this song.
He's trying so hard, but there's some solid stuff in here. You know,
and the bridge,
songwriting wise.
The bridge part for this reminded me of like Seek and Destroy, early Kill 'Em All days. And I guess like, well, any song they do where it's just like a lead by bass drummer, the doof, 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 and then going into whatever they're going to do. But I love the pacing. I love the pacing change in the bridge. It slows the song down. Honestly, it slows it down to a crawl, but it doesn't lose any of its intensity.
No,
That's
you're
what
right.
I want. That's what I want.
When it does slow down in that bridge, the lead guitar, it builds into the actual solo so nicely. Like it's everything in this song is, well, I wouldn't say everything in the song is seamless, because the beginning with the distorted guitar parts, the intro leading into the drum part when it really picks up, that's a little disjointed. But after that, the song builds and dips and then builds again, especially in the bridge, so fucking well. So fucking nice. And I will say, I hate saying it because I do like the song a lot, but this is like a bastardized version of Battery. Like they were trying to recreate Battery, but just didn't quite. It didn't sit as well, because Battery starts with the acoustic guitar, and then it really hits into that riff, much like this does, but it just doesn't have that same seamlessness as Battery does, and it just doesn't sound as good. This song seems very forced in that matter. But
Honestly, I think it's because we're missing Cliff. I think Cliff is there to say like, yes, we are getting better at writing music, because he's absent on this one. And Jason Newsted is a fantastic bass player too. Like he's really, really good. Yeah. Not utilized in like any way. But I think because Cliff isn't there, and this is a weird time for the band. Like he fucking died. You know,
he died a year before this.
Like your brother just died. Like that's insane. It's now you're writing an album, and you're trying to recapture Master of Puppets, but you're missing the person that brought you to Master of Puppets. Mm-hmm. Because I think without Cliff, they they never would have progressed to Master of Puppets. I just don't think they would have.
I don't think so either. And I've read an interview with Lars recently where people were saying, why was there such a change in musical style from Justice to Black? And he said, and Lars claims that that jump in style would have happened whether or not Cliff had died. Or no, the interview had asked, like, if Cliff was still alive, do you think you guys would have kept with like the more metal thing and not transition into more of a hard rock thing? And Lars said no, because Cliff was always the driving force behind the band, and what would have happened after Master, he can't even imagine, because Cliff was the one that introduced the band to punk rock, introduced them to Motorhead, introduced them to old rock and roll like Chuck Berry and stuff like that. Like, he was the one that brought in the different stylings. And when you really read about it too, they've always said, like, we were all the guys with the long hair, the tight pants, very much in the metal scene. But then Cliff came in and he was a total hippie. He had the straggly facial hair. He had the bell bottom jeans, everything like that. That was completely the opposite of metal. He was the hippie guy. So he brought in this like completely different kind of musical style. And Lars has always said, like, who knows what would have happened after Master of Puppets? It could have been something completely off the wall. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And maybe, who knows? I don't know. Lars has also said, like, we probably would have made something even poppier than the Black Album had Cliff, not died, which I don't believe either. Because what I really thought about this week was Cliff was the one guy in the band who could tell Lars and James no. He was the only one who was not a yes man, because Kirk has no backbone. He has no spine. He never has. Even to this day, if you watch any sort of like jam session with them, they treat Kirk like shit, absolute shit.
God,
and
dude, it's terrible.
It's like, it's kind of sad. It's honestly kind of sad. And then Rob Trujillo, great bass player, great musician, but he's just there because he can play all the part. He can do anything. That's really why he's there. And he's a really nice guy, but he's also kind of a pushover, it seems.
Clearly they don't care about bass playing, because we're ranking an album this week that has zero bass playing.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But yeah, I feel like if Cliff had not died and continued on with the band, their music would have changed a lot, but it would have changed for the better. It would have been so like they would not. He could literally tell them no. Cliff was the mediator. He was the what is it, like the oh my god, what is it, like a, not a producer, but the outside ear, because Lars and James wrote all the music, but then I felt like Cliff was there to wrangle them in and say, that sounds like fucking shit. That sounds amazing. He was always there as the middle person, the voice of reason, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And that was completely lost after Puppets.
It makes sense, because they, like, even though Master of Puppets, there's a lot of pop elements to that, because there's a lot of very, very strong melodies that songs revolve around. It's still a progression. It's still a progression from Kill 'Em All, and that's why their first three are, I swear to God, they're unfucking touchable. Yeah. And this one has all of those elements, but it's just like, it's not quite there. Like, you hear it, like, this is really good, but it's missing something. And so I find it hard to believe that had Cliff stayed with the band, had this album come out with Cliff, that it wouldn't be exponentially better than this, because they were getting better. Hetfield was getting better. Lars was getting worse, but he's getting better at like songwriting. Like, really, he was. Like, he's getting better at songwriting. Right.
Yeah.
He's focusing less on drumming, and he's getting better at songwriting. And Kurt Hammett, I mean, he's fine, whatever. I don't think he's ever gotten worse or better. He's just stayed consistent. But like, Hetfield's getting better at guitar too. Like, Hetfield's like taking over a lot of lead guitar duties. He's taking over some solos. And I don't watch like a lot of Metallica live stuffs, but I mean, dude, fucking better guitars than Kurt Hammett, like straight up.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like, he's a fucking better guitarist than Kurt Hammett. That's a fucking fact.
It's so funny, like when you watch them play Master of Puppets, when you watch them play that song, that during the bridge of that song, there's a part where they each play the clean guitar parts together. That kind of solo lead part together, and every time Kirk Hammett is a little bit off time, just a little bit, but it's just so obvious that even though Lars is such a shitty drummer, James could still lock into that, and Rob can still lock into that, but Kirk cannot. He just cannot kind of keep up with James. Like James is just such a better guitar player, like both rhythmically and lead wise. Like Kirk can't keep up rhythmically. Like James has a crazy right hand with his downstrokes. He's one of the truly great downstroke rhythm guitar players. Like you cannot deny that whatsoever.
And he hits them so fast, so crisp. He can just go from string to string to string, and it's just flawless.
Yeah, he has one of the greatest right hands in rock music, without a fucking doubt. And Hammett, as much as I like the guy and I like his solos, he cannot keep up with Hetfield at all. It sucks too, but whatever.
I
what
think like if you had a graph, right, you would see James Hetfield go from the bottom left corner to the top right corner as a slope that was going upwards, whereas Kirk Hammett is already in the middle, but it's a stagnant line.
Yeah.
Right, like James gets better, where Kirk is started off already better than James, but never progresses or regresses or anything. But like that's not what you want from music. And Metallica was a band that got better. I mean, not our favorite, but they got better. They got more complex. They got different. They were doing things that was interesting from 1, 2, 3. And even this one is different. This one is kind of better in a lot of ways than their first 3, but they're missing Cliff. They're missing somebody there to kind of reel it in. Somebody there to say, hey, these parts are great. These parts suck. Let's take out this and add more of this, and therefore we can have a good album. Like they're a band that is getting better and better and better. But they like you said, like they need somebody some mediator there, so someone there in the middle to reel it all in.
To kind of like throw in some sort of flair too, because like bringing it back to when we started this episode, we talked about how, it's just a ton of chugging. You get an 8-minute kind of prog song, but it's all kind of the same tempo chugging. Nothing really varies, but there's still something there, like that catchiness, that melody. There's something that sets it apart from any other prog song or any other rock song, But we need Cliff there to throw in the nuances. I feel like Cliff was there also to throw in that kind of stuff, to throw in the wonky stuff, to throw in like a weird funk kind of, who knows, like a funk beat or a funk riff or something. I don't know. That's kind of what you need. But after Puppets, there was nothing. It was just, everything was so straightforward. I mean, look at the Black Album. Look at Load and Reload. I mean, it was just straightforward hard rock songs. There was no real complexity to it. Not to say that Puppets was super complex, but there was at least thought put into a story musically that you never really heard after this record, especially.
I mean, Puppets was for sure for this band. Puppets was for sure like complex, but we can see it even earlier for Whom the Bell Tolls. That's a song that is very like dun 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 dun. It's very simple, very just E string 0035. It's fucking E G A, simple stuff. But we're adding some complexity to it. We're adding some bass parts. We're adding some high lead parts. Everything's kind of like coming together to build on this song that is basically nothing. There's really nothing there. There's not a lot of substance to these songs because, I mean, for real, like Lars is just a shit drummer. So like, there's only so much you can do with a shit drummer. Like the backbone of a fucking band. Like he's fucking trash.
But then you can also make the argument, if you had like a really great drummer like Dave Lombardo, could you have made music like this? Like that's another thing too.
If Dave Lombardo could write music, then yes, you could have made better music.
That's what I'm saying. Like Lars is a great songwriter. So that's I feel like that's one main reason why they ever kept him in the band, was because he had an ear for music. And that's why he was in the band, even though he could barely pass as a drummer. Especially as the years have gone on.
Did nobody tell him, like, dude, you suck, bro? Like, you're not a good drummer. Why not why not put him as Jason Freese? Put him like as a backup guitarist.
Yeah.
Who
Or just
cares?
put him as a fucking songwriter, in the studio as a studio
Yeah, just pay him his
musician
royalties.
only.
He doesn't show up. Good God.
There was on the documentary, the some kind of monster documentary of the making of Saint Anger. There was a part. It's a very famous scene. You could just type in like Lars Saint Anger, James Hetfield pissed off or something like that. It'll come off. It'll come up and Hetfield is just. There's a part where they're playing a riff or James is trying to play a riff, and Lars cannot find the beat at all, and James flat out calls him out on it. He's like, I thought you were a fucking drummer. Like he straight up like talks shit on him, and then Lars gets pissed, and then they kind of play it, and then James gets really pissed, and he just storms out. Like he says something like, "This is fucking bullshit," and then he leaves because Lars cannot find the fucking beat. And then Kirk Hammett is in the corner like, "I don't know what to do, guys," and he just kind of sits back and takes it. But yeah, the clip is so fucking funny. But yeah, Lars is just, dude, it's embarrassing. It's truly embarrassing.
Dude, Cliff was the glue for this band.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Good God. It's unbelievable.
I know. So let's wrap up Blackened, and then let's talk about the bass tone, because we got to talk about Jason Newsted, kind of how unfair he was treated in the band, especially at this time. And also,
what the fuck?
The only songwriting credit that Jason has on this record is on Blackened.
Yes.
So I thought that was really cool. He came up with the main riff that dun 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 dun. It's a really cool riff.
Which who the fuck cares anyway? Because you can't hear the bass at all.
I know,
and,
but
and that
he
riff
came
is,
up with
is
the guitar riff.
driven.
No, he came up with the bass riff, but then James was like, "Oh, let's play like a variation of it on guitar." So that's kind of how it came about. So yeah, it was originally on bass, but it really was meant to be on the guitar.
So like when I was reading about this, I could not believe that this is like even exists in actual canon of Metallica, that the producer of this album was like, yeah, I didn't want the bass to be turned down, but Lars and James both said they want it turned down because they want more guitars. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't because they wanted less bass, it's because they wanted more guitars. And like everybody was just blaming each other for so many years. And then James said it was Lars' fault. And Lars says like, no, it wasn't our fault. It was my fault. It was a band decision. I was like, dude, you guys are fucking pathetic.
I know.
This is unreal.
Each other. I know. It's truly
fucking
pathetic.
morons.
And you know what I thought was really kind of was very annoying about this record and the making of it. They originally hired a guy named Michael Bink. Was that his fucking name? What was his name?
The guy they hired and the guitars weren't loud enough, so they fired him and they hired somebody else to make the guitars louder?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they hired this guy. They did a bunch of pre-production with him, wrote with this guy. And then, because they originally wanted this guy Fleming Rasmussen, I think that's how you pronounce it. And they couldn't get him, so they got this Bink guy. And they just, apparently they didn't get along with him. So my idea is they didn't get along with him because he actually said, no, that sounds like fucking shit. That's probably what he said. It sounds like garbage. And they probably got mad because their egos were so big. And so then they ended up firing him. And then they were able to get Fleming to come in. And then Fleming produced the record. And according to Fleming, like you said, he produced the record. You know, he said Newsted had laid down some great bass lines. He offered so much to the actual songs. But then Fleming had nothing to do with the actual mixing process. Like he was like, it kind of seemed like he was really kind of shut out completely by Lars and James and the two guys who mixed the record. I can't remember their names right now. And then at that point they what was it? They said that, okay, I want Jason's bass levels to be at this. And then they said, now I want it 3 decibels lower. And then they said they wanted it lower because they just came off of like some big arena tour, and that damaged their hearing. So then they could barely hear the higher tones in the guitar. So that's why they reduced the bass levels lower or some shit like that. It was like it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Stupid.
It was just such petty bullshit. And you know full well that they fired this producer, the original producer, because he was saying, no, this sounds like fucking shit. Because honestly, this record does sound like shit.
Yeah.
The guitar tone does sound like shit. The drums sound like fucking garbage. There's no bass at all. It does not sound like a good record. The songs are there. The songs are fucking amazing. But production and mix wise, it's horrendous. It's absolutely fucking shit. And Fleming, I read too, Fleming was saying in an interview like 5-6 years ago, he was saying that after he heard the final mixes of the record, he said it sounded like they only used the close mics. So they used none of the room mics. They only used the mics that were right on the drums, the mics that were right
That's
on the amps. They
annoying.
used no ambience. And he says that's why it sounds so compressed, because they used no ambience. They used nothing big sounding. They use no fucking room mics. And when you go back and listen to it, you're like, oh yeah, you're right. There's no reverb. There's nothing here. It's so fucking dry. It
That's
does
like
sound like shit.
that sounds like a band that is very selfish, right? Like,
Mhm.
no, I only want to use the mics that are directly in front of my drum sets. I only want to use the mics that are either hooked up to my amp or directly in front of my amp. No. Like, that's fucking selfish. Like, I want to be the front. I want to be the star.
Yeah. It sounds like Metallica. It sounds like Lars. It really does sound like Lars. Because everything
Hetfield
you
too,
hear,
though.
yeah,
He-
Hetfield
he-
is to blame, but I feel like it's more
he's
Lars.
just as much to blame too as Lars is.
I agree. But Lars only gets. I
Lars
only
gets a
blame
bad
Lars
rap
more.
because we hate him for like the Napster thing, and Lars is just a shit drummer. At least Hetfield's a great guitarist.
But it's not
But
only
otherwise,
that.
I think they're
Lars
both
is
fucking assholes.
Lars is the outspoken one though. Lars actually gets out there and talks shit. James kind of stays in the background, and he'll say things on the side here and there, but he never gets into the media. He never goes to the media and says anything. You know, he agrees with Lars, but he never says he never outright says anything like Lars does.
James Hetfield's just a little bitch like fucking Kurt Hammett too.
Are you saying Kurt or are you saying Kirk?
Kirk, like Captain Kirk.
It sounds like you're saying Kurt, like Kurt Cobain. Is it
Kurt-
Cobain?
Kurt
Kurt
Cobain.
Kurt
Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain.
Oh, and then
I don't know why I
another
said it
thing
like
about this record. So in 2018, they remastered this record for its 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
Right? That's the 30th anniversary. They or 40th, no 30th anniversary in 2018. And Lars said in an interview they intentionally did not turn up the bass for this record. Like they
Yeah,
could
well,
have
'cause
they
they
could
wanna-
have done it.
They want to keep
And-
it real, keep it authentic. That's where we were as a band at the time.
It's such a fucking
Then like, why the
cocksucking
fuck
move.
even do it?
yeah. What's the
Why
fucking
the fuck
point?
would you even fucking do it, dude? Like, if you're not gonna like adjust it, God, you're an asshole. He's a
And you know
fucking
what's-
moron.
You know what's weird? Like considering this band loves money, obviously.
I know. That's
Can
all they
you-
care about. That's all
Can you
they care about.
imagine how this record would sell if they remastered it and remixed? I'm sorry, if they remixed it and remastered it with the bass turned up, they could do it. I mean, Fleming has said in the past, like, "Oh, we lost the master tracks, the roots
bullshit.
and everything like that." It's like, fuck you, you did not lose that shit. Bull fucking shit. You're probably getting paid to say that shit. Fuck you,
course.
Fleming. But yeah, dude, if they re-release this with the bass turned up, this shit would sell like hotcakes. Like fans would love it. Like if you can go on YouTube. I don't know if you did it this week, but I actually did it this week, and I listened to it with Jason's bass turned up because you can find mixes of it, and it's a different experience.
Is it
It
better?
is different. It is a. I don't want to say it's better.
I can't imagine it being like so much better because I think he had his hands tied behind his back anyway.
It's just
But
different. It's
yeah.
different. Just, I mean, I would highly recommend anybody just going to YouTube. You could, I mean, you could find this album with Jason's bass turned up. I think some of them are people who re-recorded his bass parts and just threw them on there, which is cool. I mean, that's fine because you guys kind of get to hear like how it was meant to be. But yeah, it's a different experience. It's cool though.
There's like
Highly recommend it if you're a Metallica.
there's a bunch of box sets, even more so than any of their albums for this one. There's box sets that include like it's like 4 LPs and then like 7 CDs of all demos of all like riff
Covers.
tapes
Yeah.
from like the late 80s in like DVDs of live performances of Jason taking over like Cliff's parts.
Mm-hmm.
and we sell one at the record store too for a lot of money. And I don't know. That would be cool to have. That would be cool to listen to. But I just don't think. I think James and Lars have kept everything close to the vest. I think they're invested in the brand, and I think they've been invested in the brand honestly since Cliff died. And I think that they're like an unstoppable machine. Like there's no getting in front of them. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think you're up. You're totally right.
It sounds kind of shitty, but like I really do think that they've after Cliff died, that was like that's it. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, I feel like that was the point where they realized they could take full control of the band because they knew Kirk was kind of a pushover, and yeah, Cliff was the only thing that fought against them, especially Lars. I mean, I love talking shit on him, but I also hate talking shit on him because the dude can write songs. He can. Love him or hate him, he can write fucking good songs.
But like Lars and James were there from the beginning. Like Kirk was not there from the beginning, and neither was Cliff at that.
Neither was Cliff, at that point.
But it's like Cliff was the only person that progressed the band, and like Dave Mustaine didn't progress the band in the way that they wanted because he was too outspoken and drunk. But like so were these guys. So it makes you think like it wasn't the drinking that they probably had a problem with. It was probably like the outspokenness they had a problem with. So
as the years have gone on, I feel like you're absolutely right, because even to this day, they still don't get along. You know, Dave Mustaine constantly talks shit on Lars. He doesn't really talk shit on James. He talks shit on Lars, and then he talks shit on Kirk for being a shitty guitar player. But he never really talks shit on Lars. But even when Dave Mustaine played with Metallica, like in maybe it was 2011 or 2014, whenever Dave played with them. Played like Phantom Lord and fuck, what else did he play? Four Horsemen or something like that. Like even then, he was still kind of talking shit about Lars. And then even up until maybe a month ago, I read an article where Dave Mustaine said like, yeah, I would never allow the release of this particular thing because I don't want to give Lars songwriting credit for it because he didn't write the songs. It's like, dude, it was fucking over 40 years ago. Like you're still bitching about the songwriting credits. But
that just like goes to show you either how much of a bitch he is or how much like of a bitch Lars is, to where like people legitimately hate him for that long because he is so petty. And again, I mean, I don't know Lars personally, but the fact that they made a commercial for Napster, like there is something to be said about that. A fucking commercial against Napster and going into a child's bedroom. This was a child's bedroom. Was such a
dumb commercial.
Like a grown ass fucking man goes into a child's bedroom and takes his computer and says, "Oh, I'm borrowing this." Like, what are you fucking doing, dude? Come on, my guy. Like it's
so embarrassing. This is
Metallica.
Fucking embarrassing.
This is Metallica.
And that's why you hated them for so long until we did them on the pod. Because of that one commercial. And that's not even an exaggeration.
So. Rightfully fucking so. Honestly.
Not even an exaggeration.
And I honestly, I still cannot stand Lars. I just cannot stand him. I think everything about him is just fucking trash. I think he writes great songs, but even then, I don't know. I don't know the extent of what he's writing as opposed to what Cliff is writing or what Dave's writing or what James is writing. I don't know. But I do know that Kill 'Em All, my God, Lars can play the drums and Kill 'Em All. At least to the songs.
Yeah, to the songs. I mean, Dave has, I think Dave has 2 songwriting credits on Kill 'Em All, and it's just Four Horsemen, Phantom Lord, maybe Motor Breath. I don't remember if Motor Breath was another one he had a songwriting credit on, but that was it. And then Cliff has maybe 2 songwriting credits or 3 on Master of Puppets, maybe 1 on Lightning. Like everything is pretty much Lars and James.
Like when you take songwriting credits at face value, right? You open a PDF and you make a spreadsheet, songwriting credits. Here is the history of this band. That tells like one small percentage of the story, whereas we don't know the effect that Dave Mustaine had on James, on Lars, on Cliff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we don't know.
I think he had a way bigger influence than the band has ever let on.
I fucking totally agree. I for sure agree.
Because
I
as
think
much as I don't,
Dave Mustaine's a fucking fantastic guitarist.
dude, amazing guitar player. I don't really care for Megadeth. I mean, I've listened to several of their
They're
records,
dumb.
even
This
recently.
band's trash.
Yeah, I don't really care for their music, but I
Okay.
mean, his playing, dude, his guitar playing is
Good
fucking
God.
amazing guitar player. But yeah, I don't know. I'm so curious to think, like, in an alternate universe, what Metallica would have sounded like, 2-3 albums deep had Mustaine been allowed in
with
the
Cliff.
band, Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, him and Cliff. Can you imagine like the progression between Mustaine and because Cliff had the songwriting, Cliff had the nuance, the songwriting, and Dave had the technical ability. Dude, that could have been.
I think they
Had-
both. I think they both could have pushed each other to their like limits, to their best capabilities,
Yeah.
and we still would have gotten the Black Album, but the Black Album would have been something that was just better than anything we've ever heard.
Or had like say Lars wasn't in the picture, like you had like a guy like Dave Lombardo on the drums, you had Cliff Burton, you had Dave Mustaine, and then you had James as the singer and rhythm. Dude, can you imagine that band, that lineup? That would, I mean, in an alternate universe, that they could have absolutely ruled the fucking rock and roll world right there.
I know, and they
God
already
damn.
rule the fucking rock and roll world.
Yeah.
It's like just imagine, right? Like how much better they could be.
Dude, that lineup of those four guys could have been something absolutely insane.
Complete wasted opportunity.
Over drinking and
Well, not Cliff
egos.
though. You know, it's not his fault,
Yeah.
but
Hetfield, Lars, Dave,
Bunch
ego,
of
alcohol, all that bullshit.
and you think like the whole Cliff death thing would have brought everybody together, right? Like you think like, holy shit, dude, we all could have died. They all could have
Yeah.
died. Any one of them, one of them that could have been. But like no, it got worse.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
The feuding got worse.
It got worse to the point where Jason Newsted was so ostracized from the band that he had to remove himself from it because, yeah, it took 12, 13 years, but he had to completely remove himself from it and completely distance himself from his brothers and his bandmates because it was just so terrible being in the band.
Toxic. It's a fucking toxic band.
Yeah, and obviously Jason Newsted only stayed because of the money. Had the Black Album not blown up, Jason Newsted would have left the band immediately because he
For
was
sure.
treated so poorly during the making of Injustice, and he was also treated very poorly during the Black Album. But then it fucking exploded, and there's no way he would have stayed. So Blacken, do we have anything lyrically on this, or finally bring this back to Blacken? Do we have anything lyrically on this, or should we just move on and just say fuck it?
There's no song on this album that I like dove into the lyrics and was like, holy shit, this is so fucking deep. Like they're good lyrics for sure.
Yeah,
They match the album, they match the feeling, they match the tone, but nothing was like complex. And this one, no, there wasn't anything deep here.
okay, that's fair. I don't think there's anything particularly deep, but I still like his lyrics. I think he has a good way of presenting what he's trying to say. I don't think it's anything super deep. I mean, he talks, in this song, he talks about like nuclear war and devastation and how it's the end of the human race
It's a
and Mother
bleakness
Nature
of
in general.
future in general.
Yeah. I mean, I like the content. I think the content is really good. I think he has a good way of presenting it. I don't think there's anything super unique about it, but it's still good. He's a good lyricist, honestly. On this record, and on Master of Puppets, he is a good lyricist. I can't
It's
deny
stupid.
James that at all.
It's stupid to say because it really just means like nothing, but the music on this album is cool, man. And the
Yeah,
lyrics on
man.
this album are cool, man.
Yeah,
like
man.
everything matches. Everything's just cool. Like, god damn, this is just a really good like headbanging metal album.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
See, if you throw man after the cool part, it makes the cool thing sound less dumb because like you're being like facetious and stupid
Yeah.
about it.
Sounds way cooler. Yeah, it sounds like, Tommy Chong or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'd love Cheech and Chong. I'd love those. The first two movies especially. So good.
I've not watched those in decades.
Dude, I watch them. I watch them a few times a year. I love, especially the first one, Up in Smoke, man. I don't even smoke weed, and I love that first movie so much.
Dude, they sell so well on eBay though. I'm telling you.
Do they really? The movie
Oh,
or
yeah.
the vinyl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Deals
All
are
right. Anyway, so let's move on. So your 1B was Blackened.
yeah.
Blackened.
What is your 1B?
Shortest straw. The shortest straw.
Oh wow.
That main riff that kicks in at 46 seconds. Oh, it's so good. The guitar solo is my favorite Metallica. My favorite Metallica guitar solo is on this song, The Shortest Straw. Oh my god. Kicks in at 3 minutes and 45 seconds. It's just the wonkiness, the weird things he does on this solo is I've just never really heard anything like it. The way he hits the wah pedal, the stop and start of it is it's so hard to fucking explain his solo on this. But it's so quick, it's so nuanced. I this is the best thing he's ever done guitar-wise. Kirk Hammett has ever done guitar-wise.
This is
Like,
my
without a fucking doubt.
This is my 4B.
Okay,
This
that's
is
low.
my
That's
4B.
fine.
I only have 5 Bs. Okay.
I know you're
Okay.
so wrong. But what's also cool about his solo, Kirk's solo, so you get that initial guitar solo, and then everything stops, and you think, okay, you're gonna go back into like the chorus or whatever, or another extension of the bridge. But then everything stops, and then it goes into another guitar solo, and he's just kind of like ripping it up a little bit. It's short, but it's still very sweet, and it just sounds. It's just beautifully crafted. It's a perfectly crafted guitar solo and perfectly crafted part of this song. I love Shortest Straw. Also, the chorus, it's very silly and very stupid, but it's very catchy as well. I love this song. I love The Shortest Straw.
So here's let me just to piggyback off of your solo part. Here's what I wrote for the solo. I wrote cool solo, some cool like harmonics right out the gate, great hammers. At 4:30, because I timestamped it too, I know a little fucking cuck boy. At 4:30, we even hear that cool type of like eruption shit going on. This is the best solo on the album.
Oh yes, definitely.
This solo was fucking good. This solo was amazing, and I loved it. And this song is
Good.
great. But like I did realize at this point in the album, it's clear that these songs they barely differ from each other. But you don't just get like tired of the onslaught, right? Like it's not just like, oh, another fucking song. Like you realize that, okay, I'm hearing the same song now 9 times. But again, I don't know why I like every single time. I don't know why I like it every single time.
I know. I didn't really come to that kind of conclusion until this week that every song is like a metal prog song, but it's the same metal prog song for 9 songs, really. Minus like, one, which is I feel like one is the standout when it comes to the entire record. But yeah, dude, it's a lot of the same, but for over an hour, I'm just absolutely amazed. I'm
It's
having
true.
so much fun. I'm having so much fun.
We would never on this podcast ever say like, this is 9 songs of the same fucking song and I love it. Like that just does
I
not
know.
happen ever. I don't think we've ever said it with
Yeah.
any band.
It's like we'll do like a punk record, like an 80s hardcore punk record. And yeah, every fucking song, like Suicidal Tendencies, when we did that first record, every song sounds the same. And it was kind of hard to kind of differentiate between the songs, and it was hard to kind of pick them apart. But this album, every song sounds the same, but we could still differentiate it in a very slight way, in a very nuanced, small
I
kind
don't
of
know. Dude. There's something
It's hard to
about
explain.
this. There's something about this. It just doesn't make sense. Like it
Yeah.
shouldn't. It shouldn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't understand it. But dude, this song's badass. I love this. I think it's great. This song is really about the aggressive chugs and the simple drumming. Like that's what makes this song so accessible for me. Is just like the aggressive chugs, man. I love aggressive chugs, and
Yeah.
they perfected it. The crispness of their chugs on this album is top notch. The way you can kind of hear the picks slide, like crust on top of the strings, the real quick of those
I know.
things. God, I love it so much.
I know, right? they're chugging. This is where they perfected the chugging. Yeah, you could say that, the song Master of Puppets has the great chugging parts, but there was also a lot more to the song and to the leads in that song. This is just straight up like dum 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 dum. It's like open E strings, or just something so low in the tone that you just don't hear on Master of Puppets. This is them like just really kind of finding the groove. Like there was a couple songs on here where I thought, oh my god, dude, this is something that Pantera would have done or what Pantera was doing in the 90s. Like they straight up lifted parts of this record and put it on Cowboys from Hell, put it on Vulgar Display, and that's what you got. And then especially the older record, the other records after the other Pantera records after that, because the other Pantera records are way more groove based, way slower, and everything like that. I feel like at that point Pantera was taking from the Black Album, maybe Load, even at points. But Cowboys from Hell and Vulgar Display really, really took from And Justice for All, and I 100% believe that was their main inspiration on making those two records. Was this Metallica record.
I agree. I mean, Vulgar Display was into like what, fucking 92, 93?
Yeah, and then what?
Like,
I
that
think
was
89
4 years after this.
Yeah, and then 89 I think was Cowboys, or maybe 90.
I think Cowboys was for sure 90, maybe 91.
Yeah, so I mean, they straight up took from And Justice for All, and how can you not? I mean, this is just heavy, great chugging. This isn't as crazy as Slayer or Megadeth or any of the fucking Exodus shit like that. This is just good melodic groove based thrash metal. That's what it was. It was thrash groove metal. That's
so
what Injustice
fucking heavy, but it never gets into like this. I think Blackened, or no, another song that we talked. No, yeah, it was Blackened. Blackened had the cool like hardcore breakdown part. Was it Blackened?
Yeah, no, it was Blackened. Yeah.
Like you see people like moshing and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
So I feel like
it was.
What?
Yeah, it was Blackened. You're right. No, it was one had the cool fucking hardcore breakdown, the slam dancing. Yeah, dude, that's slam dance, bro. That's hardcore breakdown right there. So like this album is extremely heavy, but it never gets to that point of being heavy. Besides the only song on here that's not even like the heaviest song, one, I guess. That's weird. But yeah, this album never gets to that point of let's throw down a breakdown. Let's just be like super aggressive with it. Let's slow it down. This album is just like straight up just that's it. That's all this album is.
Yeah. And on top of that, another thing I really realized this week, because we did Pantera like a year ago, I think it was. And after listening to all the Pantera records and then listening to this, like I listened to this record 4 times this week on vinyl and on Spotify. And what I noticed was the tone that that Dimebag got on Vulgar Display was the tone I feel like Metallica was trying to get on this record. Like had they had Dimebag's guitar tone on this, it would have completely changed everything. Completely.
I like that.
Because the songs are here, obviously, but the tone is fucking garbage. The guitar tone on this is fucking garbage. Like everything else on this record, tone-wise, is terrible. This is honestly the Saint Anger of the 1980s Metallica, but the songs were infinitely better than on Saint Anger. But had they had Dimebag's tone, it would have been unreal. This could possibly be better than Puppets. Maybe not as good as Kill 'Em All, but it could have been definitely better than Lightning and possibly Puppets, had they had the tone. And also had Jason Newsted's bass been turned up in the mix. It could have been absolute perfection.
That's funny because I like Saint Anger because of what could have been. And here we are talking about this album and how much we like it because of what could have been. You make fun of me for liking Saint Anger, but I like Saint Anger because of what could have been. So don't come at me, on your high horse with what could have been when you're just doing it right now.
Which I understand what you're saying, but what we did get from Injustice for All is like a million times better than what we got from Saint Anger. So that argument still is not very strong at all. But anyway, what are we talking about? The shortest straw. We haven't played really anything since 1. I'm kind of okay with it because
Yeah.
these songs need to be. They can't be played
Dude,
just in
some of these are
portions. You have
fucking 8 minutes long. My God.
yeah, you have to listen to these songs in their entirety to really get what we're talking about. So I don't feel bad for not playing it, and I'm probably not going to play any of these songs because
Yeah, it's fine.
who gives a fuck.
I don't give a shit.
But the shortest straw. What do we have? Do we have anything lyrically on this? Should we?
Dude, I wrote one line. The shortest straw relates to getting dealt a shit hand by chance. In the song, the straw is already chosen. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I kind of got the same thing. Like, he's talking about how people, like, poor people are treated differently in society. You know, when they're in front of a judge, you know, they're always sent to jail, and you know, the rich people can always get away. They can get away with everything because they have the money to get away with it, and just it's this constant just cycle of the rich getting richer, the rich gaining more power, and the poor just being, you know, put lower and lower into society. I guess if that makes sense.
Fucking poor people.
That's kind of what I
dude.
got from it.
The common denominator in all of society's problems is always poor people. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Am I right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. That's mean.
It is.
Spoken by somebody who's never been a rich person, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But if I was a rich girl,
If I was a rich girl,
There it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
there you go.
then
Gotta
I
get
like
the nana.
Gwen Stefani because you hate that song.
I
No,
love
you
Gwen
like-
Stefani.
You hate Holla Back Girl. That's what it is.
Yeah, All About Girls, a terrible song.
That's right.
All right, so what's your 2B? Do we even have that much more to talk about?
My 2B was 1.
Oh, okay, that was easy,
Yeah.
right?
Blackened, I had 1, and then my 3B. What was your 2B?
My 2B is, oh my god, what is the name of the song? Oh, Dyer's Eve, the last song, final song.
Ooh, what's my 5B?
It's a total thrash song.
Yeah.
That build up,
This
the build
one
up
jumps right into the shit, for sure.
Yeah, it gets super fucking fast. It's a great riff. It, not only is it fast, but it's just a catchy kind of riff. Like Slayer plays fucking fast and aggressive, and this song is fast and aggressive, but it still has some kind of melody or some kind of, I don't know. It's kind of it's interesting. It's more interesting in that fast thrash riff, and it's so fucking good. And at what is it? I think it's I can't remember the exact timestamp, but there's a part where everybody stops. There's like a lot of good stop and goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In this song.
I like Lars's drumming on this one. I think the toms are deep. They sound deep. He I don't know. The fill that leads into the last or the fast part is cool in stereo because you can follow the toms because you can follow the toms throughout the left and the right channels, and that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But like this one cuts off "To Live Is to Die," and "To Live Is to Die" is my 3B, and this one cuts it off super quick. So like "To Live Is to Die" exists for a sole purpose, and then this album ends, rightfully so, with what makes Metallica Metallica. But Dyer's Eve cuts off "To Live Is to Die" so fucking fast
It
that
does.
it almost
yeah.
undermines the song itself. And I kind of like get this. And like "To Live Is to Die" is the only one that has like credits to fucking other boy, fucking I don't know, dude.
Kirk Hammett.
Burton.
Kirk
God
Hammett.
damn.
Oh,
Cliff Burton. Jesus fucking Christ! I can't even think right now. Yeah, "To Live Is to Die" is the only song that credits Cliff Burton, and it's just one riff. And again, like who gives a fuck because the bass is non-existent. And so like to throw Dyer's
Yeah.
Eve and have it cut off "To Live Is to Die" so fast, so abruptly, undermines "To Live Is to Die," and it makes this band seem even more kind of petty and shitty. But I love both of the songs.
Yeah. I do too. Like to live is to die is a great instrumental track. I mean, technically it's not instrumental because it has like the dialogue going and everything, but It really is. It's like fucking 8 minutes, and it's just constant build up, drop, build up, drop, build up, drop, which is great, but it just doesn't. This is my To Live Is to Die is my 6B,
Ooh.
and it's as low as it is because of that. Like it just doesn't really. It doesn't build up crescendo and then kind of like finish off and just round out the song. There's a lot of ups and downs in this song, and that's kind of why it's as low as it is. And I agree with you. The whole Cliff thing and how Cliff, Jason ended up playing like some of Cliff's parts on this, and that's why he's credited. It's just like, why does
That's
it even matter
fucking
at this point when
dumb.
you can't even
Yeah.
hear Jason's parts anyway? What the fuck is the point? It's stupid. It's silly.
It seems I don't know, man. It seems like they're taking advantage of the death. It seems like they're taking advantage of Cliff's death, saying, "Oh, there's one song on our new album that actually Cliff was working on." And like that, I don't know. It seems skeezy. I don't like it. I
A
don't
little
like it
bit,
at
yeah.
all.
But
I
then
think
it's
it
also,
seems disingenuous. And I don't like it. It's gross.
but there's also the grief aspect of it. So it's kind of hard to say. There was, I don't know. It was kind of done
You're right.
in a shady
Yeah.
way.
We have no way of knowing. We don't know what it was like to lose somebody like that in that way, right? Because my
Mhm.
God, dude, again, it could have been anybody on that fucking bus. And it's
Yeah, I
just,
think I think Kirk even said like they flipped a coin. It was kind of like the whole Buddy Holly thing.
yeah,
I think they even like flipped a coin. Or no, what it was I think Cliff had, or one of the two had been drinking too much, and they went to bed early, or maybe Kirk was staying up later to party, or something. It was something like that, and that's why that's why Cliff went to the bunk that he did, and because when he went to that bunk, that's why he got thrown out of the bus when the bus crashed, and that's why he got crushed.
and yeah, dude, it's just like supposedly he died instantly, but it's just like,
Who
dude,
knows?
he was thrown through a bus window, motherfucker. Them, I know about them bus windows in the '80s, but
Yeah,
bus windows are thick as shit.
yeah,
are-
that's true too.
They're them thick ass windows. So to be thrown through the window and then crushed by said bus is
Can you
that's
imagine
brutal.
the guilt?
For
the guilt
sure.
from Kirk, knowing that, that could have been me and my best friend just died. It's the guilt behind
Dude,
that must have been unreal. It still
Dude,
is probably.
Imagine waking up from your bunk and you're like on the floor or the ceiling because the bus is turned over,
Yeah.
and you're talking. You're like, what the fuck's going on? You hear all your bandmates, but you don't hear one, right? And so you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where's Cliff? You climb out of the bus and dude, that's gnarly, man. That is some fucked up shit. That is some shit that people like. Nobody should ever have to see that.
No.
That's
not at
sad.
all.
That is super sad. And
It's
and
so
I don't know,
tragic.
man. I think To Live Is to Die is a very. I think it's a cash grab. I do. I think it's a fucking cash grab on Cliff's death because I can't get over the fact that it's just abruptly ended by Dyer's Eve. But maybe that's the point.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the point of like, hey, this the chapter that has ended. We are moving on. Dyer's Eve done. This is us without Cliff. I don't know.
I'm honestly not going to disagree with you on that. It very well could be that. I'm not. I would not put it past him.
I think we're reading way too into this album that these guys are not capable of writing. But
Also, when you think these guys, they're fucking blitzed. They're constantly drunk, and all the other drugs that they're doing at the time. They're out of their fucking mind, especially after
Hell yeah.
their best friend died. Their brother died. Yeah, dude, they must have been. I can't even imagine what it was like. And I mean, I've only read and seen stories, of them. The alcohol was so much that they were like, when Jason joined the band, they were like hazing the guy. He was a little bit younger than them. He kind of idolized the band at that point, and they just treated him like shit. Like when you hear like Red Hot Chili Peppers when John Frusciante joined the band, like they kind of accepted him with open arms. They loved him. They gave him just all the songwriting stuff. It was just a completely different environment. And you go to Metallica, and it's just like everything you hear about Jason's tenure with the band, especially at the beginning, was just horrific and just sad.
I mean,
Like you feel bad for Jason.
This was the machismo metal scene of the late '80s, though. Like this is just what it was, and it's stupid and terrible. But I mean, that's the scene.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Gross.
All right. I mean, lyrically on Dyer's Eve, what I understood of this one, it's about being abandoned by your parents, by your family, because James Hetfield was, like, in real life, his father abandoned him when he was like 12. His mom died when he was 16 of cancer, and he was kind of left alone. Like, he had no, parental support. Or
Yeah, dude, that was so sad. I had no
it's
idea.
really sad. I didn't know that. I didn't really know that either. That he had kind of like such a shitty upbringing in life, but
Fucking the worst.
I feel this is like the most vulnerable I think he's ever been on any record. But yeah, it's really, really sad. And to kind of wrap up the record with that on that emotional and vulnerable level was sad. It was really sad.
Good stuff. Good stuffs.
Yeah. So what have we not talked about? We haven't talked about The Frayed Ends of Sanity, Harvester of Sorrow, which is my 9B. Eye of the Beholder, and the title track, Injustice for All. Do we want to talk about anything else?
I had no more Bs. All the other 4 tracks are not my Bs.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, we don't have to talk about it. We've talked like a lot.
Yeah.
A lot about the making of this record and a lot of shit. So let's wrap it up. Let's give our final thoughts on this record, Injustice for All. We'll give it we'll rank it, or we'll rate it from our world famous 3-point rating system, where 3 is a perfect album, 2 is a good album you're going to continue to listen to, 1 is a bad album but give it a shot, and 0 is the worst thing you've ever heard. So, what are your final thoughts and your rating on this record? Go.
Again, as I've said, as we've said, on paper this makes no sense. This is an album that we would normally shit all over for being 9 tracks, 65 minutes of the same fucking thing over and over and over and over. I don't know why I don't care. I don't know why I enjoy the constant chugging. There's not a lot of variety. There really isn't. Like, when you really break it down, riff by riff, song by song, there's not a lot of variety. But I don't know, man. It still rings. It still rings, and I still love it. I cannot believe that I love it so much, because I should fucking hate this so much.
I know.
But God, I just love that chugging sound. And maybe it's one of those things where like friend of the pod, Kevin, when he would like Surfer Kevin, when he used to post those stupid ass fucking things with, only a surfer knows how it feels. And he didn't even surf. Remember that, Kevin?
Yes, I do know what Kevin you're talking about.
But like, whenever I'm not even like a good guitarist by any shape of the imagination, but
Same.
everybody that knows how to play guitar or picks up a guitar loves to do the because it just sounds fucking rad. It sounds amazing. And I think that's good. God, it really fucking does make you feel good. Just chugging along to a really crisp, a really heavy guitar. It just sounds so cool, man. Like Tommy Chong. Man. So I think that's why this album gets more props. There's a lot to hate about this, for sure. Like the bass tones, the production, Lars's drumming is fucking trash. There's a lot of things to hate about this album. But there's a lot of endearing aspects of this. There's a lot of parts to this album that sound like a bunch of kids that are trying to make a good album, that have grown up a little bit, that are kind of lost. They lost their bro. They got a new bro. They don't know really where to progress. They don't know what to do. And so there's a lot of cool stuff about this album. This is factually their last great album, and that is hands down a fact. That is objective. That's you can Snopes it. It's fact. It happened. So I don't know. I give it like a 2.5. I give it a 2.5.
I'm surprised you gave it that high of a ranking.
I give it a 2.5. There's a lot to like. Again, there's a lot to hate, but there's a lot to like, and there's a lot to love.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So my final thoughts. I mean, we spent, I think, roughly at least 2 hours talking about this record. I feel like Jason was given an unfair what am I trying to say?
He's put in a situation that he could possibly not like live up to.
Exactly. Yeah, he was unfairly treated by the rest of the band, and it's a real shame because, like I said, I feel like had the tones been better, had his bass been turned up, had Lars been turned down a little bit with the drums, this could have been truly remarkable album. This could have possibly been the greatest Metallica record.
Yeah,
Had the tones been there, yeah, Puppets, songwriting wise, is a better record, but tone wise, had the tone been there for this could have been one of the best, if not the best, Metallica record. And it has so many faults, but then it has so many great moments. Even though Lars is such a fucking shit drummer, he has some really great, amazing fills on this record. So he's not a good he's not good at playing the double bass pedal.
Oh, it's trash.
But he has some good nuanced moments where he just places them perfectly in the mix of the song that just sounds so great and so perfect. And once again, Kirk Hammett's guitar solos, The Shortest Straw. That guitar solo is fucking amazing. I fucking love that guitar solo. James Hetfield's right hand, his rhythm guitar playing, one of the best, if not the best, of all time. This record is truly underrated, and it's such a fucking shame that it was produced in the way that it was. And I don't know. We spent 2 hours. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'm just going to repeat myself.
What is it? There we go. What?
I'm going to give this a perfect 3 out of 3.
Oh my god! Are you fucking joking my ass right now?
Their first.
Are you joking my ass right now?
No, their first 4 albums are perfect albums. Yeah, they have their drawbacks, but in the end, overall, it is a perfect album.
Wow.
Because even when you look at any album we love, look at any Blink album, they have their faults, obviously, but overall, they're an amazing, perfect album. You look at Blink's Blink, you look at Neighborhoods, you look at Toy Patch.
9.
Well, that's stupid. You look at that shit. Yeah. They don't always have the greatest tones and the greatest, things here and there, but overall, they're just like,
no,
the combination of it all is it's absolute perfection. I can't even
derailed it with 9. Just derailed it.
You did. I can't even think straight. I already had a hard time thinking straight because I've already had a few too many beers. But yeah, perfect 3 out of 3.
Damn, a perfect 3 out of 3. Wow.
Yeah, I fucking love this record.
No Metallica should get a perfect 3 out of 3. Fact.
Well, you're fucking stupid.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're saying
I would
in the last 2 minutes, you said some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
I like Kill 'Em All for me. 3 out of 3, easy, hands down. Master of Puppets, I'm probably gonna give it 3 out of 3. Red Lightning, I'm probably gonna give it 3 out of 3. This one I give it 2.5, just because there are a lot of things that I don't like about it. But
okay, that's fair.
I'm gonna buy this in the vinyls. I'm probably gonna buy it fucking tomorrow.
Oh, it's so good. I will say, when I bought this on vinyl, I bought a new pressing, or a recent pressing, so it was sealed, double LP, and even though we've talked about all the shortcomings of its production and mix and everything, when you throw this on, I don't even have like a great setup, with my record player and everything and the speakers, but it still sounded punchy as fuck. It sounded really fucking good. So I imagine somebody, because you have a much better setup than I do now, and I imagine when you throw on Justice, it's gonna sound better than you think. So yeah, perfect 3 out of 3 for me.
That's crazy. Okay.
I don't give a fuck. So, do we have anything else, or what should we do?
No,
what do you want to do?
That's it. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to the podcast. Go to Spotify, give us 5 stars. Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. Tell all your friends, because we are the best podcast in the whole world. And you know what? That's it. That's all. Clifford.
And Metallica really is a band that did 4 albums, and I think that's it. They're a band that created, or I don't even say created, popularized a specific sound, perfected said sound, and then rode the coattails for their next 50 years.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. 4 amazing albums in 6 years, and then trash for the next 30. Wait, we're not. I wouldn't say trash. I'm sorry.
Not trash.
There's some great stuff after Injustice. There's some great stuff, but overall, the next 30 years has been almost all trash.
I'd rather have that first 6 than the next 30.
If you listen to this record not in the order that you did, like, 'cause this is the first thing you listen to, so you were expecting more, but had you listened to this record after Lulu, Load, and Reload, then you would realize, and Saint Anger, you would have thought, oh my God, this record's so much better than what you're saying now. So you're stupid. My number 8 is Saint Anger, dude. This is,
oh, you little bitch,
dude.
Like, this is rolling breakdown parts, great solos. Like, Hatfield's got some energy behind him. Like, my favorite parts.
Hatfield?
Yeah, Hatfield, like Juliana Hatfield, like the Hatfields and McCoys.
What are you doing?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I heard that too when I said the Hatfields.
This is like the 3rd time you've said it, and I haven't called you out on it until right now.
The bass is non-existent. The guitar, the guitars. Got some toy noops. The toy guitars. The guitars are super fucking loud, and there are parts of the fuck, dude. I'm like slurring all my words and sound like a fucking butthole right now, like an actual tight butthole. And there are parts of the album where I think like Lars's drumming. Lots to talk about.
I know. Okay, I hate that fucking song. Why are you doing that?
I know, it's so
I hate that song so much. It is a perfect album.
Wow.
Because even when you look at any album we love, look at any Blink album, they have their faults, obviously. But overall, they're an amazing, perfect album. You look at Blink's Blink, you look at Neighborhoods, you look at Toy Patch.
9.
You know, well, that's stupid. You look at that shit.